All right, it's now time for the World Brief, and let's start in the United States, as taking the stage in his first solo appearance as the Democratic vice presidential nominee, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz warned cheering union members Tuesday that Donald Trump would wage war on working people while threatening Medicare and Social Security as he kicked off a 5-state fundraising swing. Now, speaking in a cavernous, dimly lighted ballroom to thousands of members of the American Federation of State, County, and municipal employees, many dressed in Green Union T-shirts and having Harris-Walz placards, Walz said he and Vice President Kamala Harris want to spread collective bargaining and other worker protections to every state in the union.
I happen to be the first union member on a presidential ticket since Ronald Reagan. But rest assured, I won't lose my way. You heard the story. You knew Vice President Harris grew up in a middle-class family, picked up shifts at that McDonald's as a student. I keep asking this to make a contrast here. Can you simply picture Donald Trump working at a McDonald's trying to make a McFlurry or something? He knows us. He couldn't run that damn McFlurry machine if it cost him anything. So the only thing those two guys knows about working people is how to work to take advantage of them. That's what they know about it. Every single chance they've gotten, they've waged war on workers and their ability to collectively bargain to take that away from them. All we're asking for is better wages, better benefits, better lives, and dignity in the work that we do. Today, Minnesota is one of the best states for workers in the country. I'm surrounded by some that aren't. So the vice president's vision is to take those worker protections to every state in the union. Every state in the union. Hope is the most powerful word in the English language. It was so powerful for when my wife and I first had our first child, we named our daughter Hope. But my wife often reminds me, hope is a great word and a beautiful name, but it's not a damn plan. We can't hope that we defeat Donald Trump. We can't hope that we can collectively bargain. We can't hope we protect Social Security. We can't hope that we address climate change. You don't hope to win. You plan, prepare, and work to win.
You don't hope to win, you plan, prepare, and work to win. All right, let's shift our attention to Asia, where Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that he will not seek re-election as the leader of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party in next month's party polls, in a decision that means the country will also have a new prime minister. Speaking at a news conference in Tokyo on Wednesday, Kishida said it was time for a new face at the helm of the LDP and that he would fully support their leadership. The LDP, which has held power almost continuously since its founding in 1955, has in recent months been embroiled in one of Japan's biggest political scandals in decades. Two of the most influential factions in the LDP have been accused of failing to properly declare their income and expenditure, and in some instances allegedly rerouting political funds to lawmakers as kickbacks. Well, Kishida was elected party president in September 2021 for a 3-year term and won a general election shortly afterwards. But his approval ratings have fallen sharply amid a major corruption scandal within the LDP surrounding unreported political funds raised through tickets sold for party events. His decision to quit comes a month before LDP elections are slated, with a date in September yet to be announced. And now Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Ukrainian forces are now in control of 74 Russian settlements in the Kursk region, the result of a Ukrainian cross-border operation. In an evening address on Tuesday, Zelensky said Ukrainian forces continue to advance into the Kursk region and take Russian prisoners. The Ukrainian leader has presented the daring operation as evidence that his country maintains the ability to seize the initiative and direct events more than 2 years after Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine. Well, meanwhile, the governor of Russia's Belgorod region, that's Vyacheslav Gladkov, has declared a regional state of emergency, blaming relentless bombardment by Ukraine. Gladkov's announcement comes as Russia battles to push back Ukrainian forces in neighboring Kursk after thousands of soldiers launched a surprise assault across the border in the early hours of August 6th. The situation in the Belgorod region continues to be extremely difficult and tense, said Gladkov in a video posted on the Telegram messaging app. Of course, daily shelling by Ukraine's armed forces has destroyed houses and killed and injured civilians, he added. So a little bit of something from across the globe. I've heard enough of my own voice, so I'm going to hand over. But I will have something to say about Tim Walz when you're done.
let me pick it up from Tim Walz. I mean, but what he's saying is totally spot on. That Trump is there to destroy the octet for the workers, the union workers especially. In fact, I'll shock you. United Auto Union have sued the Trump campaign based on the utterances he made at, the interview he had with Elon Musk, where they were talking about sacking workers and things like that if they protest or object. Anyway, the Trump campaign has reacted by saying, oh, you don't have a need, it's a frivolous suit and all of that. But the workers have a right. We can't have a society where you trample on the voice. So Tim Walz was entirely very right. In fact, all he just did was to forget to quote the lawsuit there to show how bad Trump is with things. And like I keep saying, it's always about the mindset of the rich get richer for people like Trump. Because what do you expect? He's never worked all his life. All he earned was from the riches of his parents, and he capitalized on that. And he had lawyers like Roy Cohn that helped him break the tax system to be able to favor him. As regards what's happening in Russia, I'm sure Putin is now seeing what it feels like now for the war to be taken into his territory. He never thought this was going to happen. And I think this is even a response to a certain, goodness me, I don't like to quote Udumeje, but Udumeje was saying the other day...
No, you're not quoting Udumeje.
Look at Russia. There's a war going on, and there's nobody here. Everywhere is free. Ukrainians are not here. But look at the Ukrainians, they're making incursions into the Russian territory. So they're taking the offensive to them. And why are they able to do this? Because of the pledge that's been made to them. F-16s are coming in, although not enough. I think about 70 or 80 of them. But definitely, once they consolidate on this and most of the money they're getting, the Ukrainian troops obviously have a lot of what the Finnish will call sisu. That courage to go in and fight because they're fighting for their homeland. So Putin is feeling what it feels like now.
All right, so let me start with the US. And the first thing I'll talk about is to fact check Tim Walz. In the first showing of the clip that was just played a few minutes ago, he had said that he's the first union member since Ronald Reagan that was on the presidential ticket. But that's not strictly true because Donald Trump, if you remember, was also a member of the Screen Actors Guild, which is a union for film actors in the United States. He resigned, though, in 2021, citing the fact that, what had the union done for actors and in the United States of America in the middle of an investigation or an appearance before the disciplinary committee. So that's not actually factual. Donald Trump was also a member of the Screen Actors Guild, which is a union in the United States of America. But beyond that, he was able to present himself. This is his first outing, a solo outing, since his nomination as vice presidential presumptive candidate of the Democratic Party. And I believe it was a good outing. He chose his state very tactically. It's California. Everyone loves the Democrats in California. In fact, they've held that base since 1988. No U.S. president has won California since 1988. So that was a good soft land, and that's Kamala Harris's base as well. So it's good soft landing for him. And also, the unions already had pledged their support for the Harris campaign. So he was on home ground and was able to represent some of the ideas from from his own campaign. And I thought that was a good way to start off. Spoke very well, appealed to the people, strengthened the base there, and hopefully able to get California again this year. But very quickly in Japan, Mr. Kishida, I beg your pardon, important points there. The reason he's stepping down is as a result of corruption allegations and mismanagement of the economy. Shouldn't that be how leadership should be? Whereby, where you see that you're not able to manage things properly or there's discontent amongst the people, you honorably step down. Even though he's been praised in other areas like his foreign policies, his strong alliances with the West, excellent point to see that he's able to own up to the fact that he's not able to, manage properly the economy.
All right. Well, on my part, very, very quickly, Tim Walz, even with that outing, I believe what's still hanging over his head is the controversy around his time in military service, which, of course, that controversy is centered around some, shall I call them, insinuations that have been made in the past that he was in active service. Now, those words have never come out of his mouth. He's never said, I was in active service. However, he's been introduced several times over the years as somebody who held a gun and active service, and he stepped onto the podium following such an introduction, never made an attempt to correct the fact that he was never in active combat. So he's facing quite a bit of backlash about that, about the fact that it's being positioned as when it was time for him to go into active combat in Iraq, he, strategically removed himself and opted to go and run for Congress. Well, that's a back and forth. I think it's a subjective conversation. However, it is something that's hanging over his head. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm sure, a lot of things still to talk about with regards to the US elections. Until November, I'll definitely be dominating headlines around the world.